Good evening, dear learner, and welcome to Learn English Through Story. If you enjoy these powerful life lessons that also improve your English, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new journey. Watch until the end to discover how one young man learned to conquer his greatest enemy, his own negative thoughts. Now, let's begin with a question. What if the battle that decides your future is not fought in the outside world, but inside your own mind? Part 1. The Enemy Within. Adrian's life looked perfect from the outside. He worked in a tall glass office building, laughed with friends on weekends, and had a girlfriend who believed in his potential. But behind closed doors, his world was falling apart. Every night, Adrian made the same promise. Tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow he would sleep early, wake on time, and finish the projects piling up at his desk. Yet, when morning arrived, his hand reached not for the alarm, but for his phone. Hours disappeared in endless scrolling, his body trapped in bed while his dreams remained untouched. His apartment mirrored his mind, clutter everywhere, laundry scattered across the floor like fallen soldiers. The fridge was nearly empty, except for half-eaten food and cans of energy drinks. Adrian told himself it wasn't serious. Everyone struggles sometimes, he thought. I'll fix it later. But later never came. Then one evening, he returned home to find a letter slid under his door. He assumed it was another bill, but when he opened it, his hands began to shake. It was from his manager. Your performance has declined sharply. Deadlines missed. Meetings skipped. This is your final warning. Get control of yourself, or you will lose your position. The words hit him like cold water. His job, the one thing that gave him stability, was slipping away. That night, Adrian stood in front of the bathroom mirror. His reflection looked pale, his eyes red from sleepless nights. He pressed his hand against the glass and whispered, "When did I lose myself?" The mirror gave no answer, only the silent truth. He had postponed discipline for too long. He remembered his father's words from years ago. If you don't command yourself, the world will command you. Back then, Adrian had laughed at the advice, believing he always had time. But now he realized his chances were running out. The crack was not in the mirror. The crack was in him. This was the beginning of his fight. He did not yet know how fierce the battle would be, because his enemy lived inside, in laziness, excuses, and the false comfort distraction. Unless Adrian learned to master his thoughts, his entire life would collapse piece by piece. Sparkle's learning focus noticed how the story mixes past simple. He promised, he returned, he unfolded. With past continuous, he was scrolling. His life was unraveling. This combination makes the story feel alive, showing both actions and ongoing habits. Also, listen to the phrase, denial is a soft blanket that hides sharp thorns. This metaphor shows how excuses feel safe, but secretly harm us. Another powerful idiom is running out of chances, meaning opportunities are disappearing quickly. Light bulb practice questions. 1. What problem was Adrian facing in his daily life? 2. How did his manager warn him? 3. What advice had his father once given him? Now, try retelling this part in your own words using past simple verbs. For example, Adrian promised. Adrian returned. Adrian realized the enemy within. Part 2. The mirror truth. Adrian woke the next morning with a dull heaviness pressing against his chest. The warning letter from his manager lay on the table, half buried under unopened mail. For a moment, he thought of ignoring it, pretending it didn't exist. But then, a sharp voice inside whispered, "If you turn away again, tomorrow will not save you. Tomorrow will betray you." He sat up, rubbed his tired eyes, and looked around his apartment. The chaos screamed at him now. Coffee cups with dried stains, crumpled clothes that smelled of neglect, a pile of unread books stacked like gravestones of abandoned dreams. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A message from Leah, his girlfriend. "We need to talk." 3 simple words froze his blood. He typed back quickly, "Tonight after work." But work was not waiting to comfort him. At the office, Mr. Cole, his manager, summoned him. "Adrian," Mr. Cole said, his voice heavy with disappointment. "You are talented, but talent without discipline is nothing. You missed 3 deadlines in 2 months. You vanished from meetings. People cannot rely on you anymore. If this continues, we will let you go. Adrian nodded, his throat dry. He wanted to explain, to say he was just tired, that things would improve. But excuses felt like ash in his mouth. That evening, he met Leah in a quiet cafe. She sat across from him, calm, too calm. "I love you, Adrian," she said softly. "But you're drifting. You don't keep promises. You're distant. I don't even know if you care about us anymore." Her words cut deeper than Mr. Cole's warning. Losing his job was frightening, but losing Leah felt like losing the last light in his life. That night, Adrian returned to his apartment and collapsed on the couch, his mind filled with voices. "It's too late. You've already failed. Just escape. Sleep. Forget it all." But another voice, faint but steady, whispered, "Fight back. Start now. One change, even small, can save you." Adrian sat in the darkness and finally spoke aloud the truth he had always avoided. "I am my own worst enemy." The words echoed in the empty room like a vow. And for the first time, Adrian realized his greatest battle was not with his boss, or with Leah, or even with the world outside. His battle was within, against laziness with sharp teeth, excuses like heavy chains, and comfort that had turned into poison. Sparkle's learning focus in this part. Dialogue gives emotional power. Sentences like "talent without discipline is nothing" and "I am my own worst enemy" are short but strong, delivering truths directly. The idiom, "excuses felt like ash in his throat," means his justifications were empty and meaningless. Another strong phrase is "comfort had turned into poison," showing how habits that once felt good were now destroying him. Grammatically, notice the mix of past simple, he nodded, she said, he realized, to show completed actions, and past continuous, he was drifting, to describe his ongoing decline. Light bulb practice questions. 1. What warning did Mr. Cole give Adrian? 2. How did Leah describe her feelings? 3. What did Adrian finally admit to himself? Now, practice by retelling Leah's conversation with Adrian in your own words. Part 3. The first battle. The next morning, Adrian woke before the alarm for the first time in months. The sky outside was still gray, the city wrapped in silence. His phone glowed faintly on the nightstand, alive with notifications. Instinct made his hand reach for it, but halfway he froze. "No," he whispered. "Not today." That small refusal felt like a spark in the darkness. He rose, stretched his stiff body, and walked into the kitchen. Dust covered the counter. Plates sat stacked in the sink, greasy and forgotten. The scene was a reflection of his inner life. Disorder, neglect, delay. Adrian filled the sink with hot water and began to wash. The clinking of dishes sounded like the first drumbeats of defiance. When he left for work that morning, his shirt was clean, his shoes polished. It wasn't much, but it was something. At the office, people looked up with mild surprise. Adrian had arrived early. Mr. Cole raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. Adrian opened his laptop and forced himself to start the report he had postponed for 2 weeks. The first lines came slowly, his mind resisting. Laziness whispered, "Check your phone. Take a break. You deserve it." But he remembered Leah's eyes at the cafe, filled with disappointment that looked like fading love. That memory was sharper than any distraction. By noon, half the report was complete. Not perfect, but alive. For the first time in months, Adrian felt a flicker of pride. But battles are never won in a single strike. That evening, on his way home, temptation waited again. His phone buzzed. "Come out tonight. Drinks on us," his friends wrote. The thought of laughter, escape, and forgetting everything for one night was sweet. His fingers almost typed yes. But he stopped. If he went, tomorrow would collapse again. If he stayed, maybe, just maybe, he could keep building. He placed his phone face down and opened his laptop instead. The hours dragged like heavy chains. But he worked, and when midnight came, the report was finished. Done. Complete. Exhausted. He leaned back in his chair. For the first time in a long while, he had won against himself. Before falling asleep, Adrian whispered into dark, "One day at a time. I can win." Sparkle's learning focused the phrase "not perfect, but alive" shows that progress doesn't need to be flawless. It only needs to be real. The idiom, "the hours drag like heavy chains," describes how time feels slow when fighting resistance. Also notice the power of repetition in Adrian's whisper, "one day at a time." This is both a lesson in language and in life. Change comes not through grand victories, but through small daily choices. Light bulb practice questions. 1. What small action did Adrian do differently in the morning? 2. Why did he resist going out with his friends? 3. How did he feel after completing his report? Try retelling the moment when Adrian said, "not today," to his phone in your own words. Part 4. The relapse. For 3 days, Adrian kept his promise. He woke early, worked with focus, and even cleaned most of his apartment. Leah noticed a change when they met for dinner. "You seem different," she said, her voice cautious but warmer than before. Adrian smiled, holding her hand. "I'm trying, but discipline is like a newborn flame. It shines yet trembles at the slightest wind." On the 4th night, the wind came. The office had been heavy with pressure. Endless emails, demanding clients, and late hours. By the time Adrian returned home, exhaustion wrapped around him like a chain. He told himself, just a short break, 10 minutes on the couch. But 10 minutes became an hour became 3. Midnight slipped past, and his report for the next morning lay untouched. The couch cradled him like an enemy in disguise. The next day, he overslept. He rushed into the office with a wrinkled shirt, messy hair, and eyes burning from too little rest. Mr. Cole's look of disappointment cut sharper than words. Leah didn't answer his messages all day. Adrian sat at his desk, shame crawling across his skin. The old voices returned, cruel and familiar. "See? You can't change. You'll always be the same. Why fight it all?" For a moment, he believed them. He saw his future collapsing. Job lost, Leah gone, himself drowning in excuses. His chest tightened. Panic stormed inside him. But then, through the storm, another memory rose. His father's voice that, "Control yourself before the world controls you." Adrian clenched his fists under the desk. He realized relapse was not the end. It was a test. The question was not whether he had fallen, but whether he would rise again that evening. Instead of escaping into sleep, Adrian forced himself to sit at his desk. His hands trembled, but he opened his laptop. He whispered like a soldier returning to battle, "Not tomorrow, now." And line by line, word by word, he fought his way back. Sparkle's learning focus this part introduces the idea of relapse, falling back into old habits. Notice the metaphor. Discipline is like a newborn flame, fragile, easily blown out. Another striking image is the couch cradled him like an enemy in disguise, showing how comfort can betray us. Grammatically, the past continuous in 10 minutes became an hour, and the voices were whispering shows a slow slide into failure. But the past simple and he clenched, he opened. He whispered marks decisive recovery actions. Idioms here include rise again, recover after failure, and a storm inside him, emotional chaos. Light bulb practice questions. 1. What mistake caused Adrian's relapse? 2. How did this affect his work and his relationship? 3. What choice did Adrian make at the end of the day? Try retelling the moment when Adrian said, "Not tomorrow," now in your own words. Part 5. The strategy of small wins. Adrian's relapse shook him deeply. It revealed a truth he could no longer ignore. Change would not come from bursts of energy followed by collapse. He needed something steadier, stronger than moods or impulses. That weekend, Adrian visited his father in the quiet countryside. The old man listened patiently as Adrian poured out his failures, missed deadlines, Leah's disappointment, the endless battle with laziness. When Adrian finished, silence hung between them. Finally, his father spoke. "You think control is about force, about crushing yourself into obedience. But real control is about rhythm. You cannot climb a mountain in one leap. You climb it step by step. Small wins, repeated daily, become unshakable power." The word struck Adrian like a hammer shaping iron. Small wins. That was the key. He returned to the city and began an experiment. He created a simple rule: 5 minutes. No matter how tired, no matter how late, he had to spend at least 5 minutes on his most important task. The first night, his body ached with fatigue, but he sat at his desk. Just 5 minutes, he told himself. He set a timer. Every second dragged like wet sand, but when the timer rang, something surprising happened. He didn't stop. 5 minutes became 20. 20 became an hour. By the time he closed his laptop, his report was halfway done. The next morning, Adrian woke with a quiet sense of victory. Not grand, but steady. A small win, enough to shift the tide. Day after day, he repeated the ritual. Some nights, he managed only the 5 minutes. Other nights, he worked far longer. But the strength wasn't in the length. It was in the rhythm. Adrian was training his mind to obey, not his laziness. Leah noticed the difference. "You're different," she said, this time with genuine warmth. "You keep showing up even when you're tired." At work, Mr. Cole nodded approvingly. "Good progress on the latest project," he remarked, handing Adrian a rare smile. Adrian felt lighter. Not perfect, not fixed, but no longer sinking. His father's words echoed inside him. Small wins, repeated daily, become unshakable power. And for the first time, Adrian believed he could build a new life, one brick at a time. Sparkle's learning focused a metaphor. You cannot climb a mountain in one leap. Teaches why small steps matter. The phrase, "a hammer shaping iron," shows how a father's wisdom can forge strength in the mind. Grammatically, notice the past continuous in every second dragging, and he was training his mind to describe ongoing struggle. While past simple and he finished, she noticed, he repeated marks clear moments of victory. Idioms here include shift the tide, change the direction of events, and brick by brick, building steadily and patiently. Light bulb practice questions. 1. What advice did Adrian's father give him? 2. How did Adrian apply the 5-minute rule? 3. What changes did Leah and Mr. Cole notice? Try retelling Adrian's experiment with the 5-minute rule in your own words. Part 6. The temptation of escape. Weeks passed, and Adrian's small wins began to stack like bricks into a wall of strength. His apartment looked cleaner, his reports more polished, his relationship steadier. For the first time in years, the ground beneath him felt firm. But stability often invites temptation. One Friday evening, his colleagues gathered for drinks to, "Come on, Adrian," they urged. "You deserve it. You've been working hard." The bar was loud with music, glasses clinking like careless promises. At first, Adrian sipped only water, reminding himself he would leave early. But as laughter swirled around him, someone pressed a glass of whiskey into his hand. "One won't hurt," he thought. 1 became 2. 2 became 4. By midnight, Adrian stumbled into the night, the city lights spinning. His phone buzzed, Leah's message. "Are you coming over?" He didn't answer. He didn't want her to see him like this. The next morning, his head pounded. His laptop sat unopened on the desk, and a report deadline glared from the calendar like a cruel judge. The rhythm he had built was broken. Shame hit him harder than the hangover. He remembered his father's warning. Control yourself before the world controls you. Yet here he was, dragged back by the oldest chains. Pleasure, escape, the false promise of comfort. For a moment, despair whispered, "You've lost it all. You're back at the beginning." He saw himself falling again into the pit of excuses and self-betrayal. His chest tightened. But then another thought broke through. No, this is not the end. One mistake is not the whole story. With trembling hands, Adrian brewed coffee, sat at his desk, and opened his laptop. His vision blurred, but he forced himself to type. Line by line, the report came alive. It wasn't his best work, slow, clumsy, but it was done. That night, he texted Leah, "I slipped, but I'm fighting again." Her reply came quickly. "That's all I need to hear." Adrian leaned back, breathing deeply. He understood a truth he had never seen clearly before. Falling is not failure. Failure is refusing to rise. Sparkle's learning focused the idiom, glasses clinking like careless promises, shows how fun can become dangerous. Another strong phrase, falling is not failure. Failure is refusing to rise, teaches a universal truth. Grammatically, notice the past continuous and laughter swirled around him and his vision blurred to show scenes in motion, while past simple and he stumbled, he brewed. He typed, marks decisive steps of falling and recovering. Light bulb practice questions. 1. What temptation caused Adrian to stumble again? 2. How did he feel the next morning? 3. What did his final decision show about the true meaning of failure? Try retelling the moment when Adrian decided to keep typing despite his hangover. Part 7. The Crossroads. Adrian's progress returned, steady as the ticking of a clock. His 5-minute rule became second nature, his report sharper, and Leah's trust slowly healed. Yet deep inside, he sensed a real test had not yet come. It arrived on a stormy Thursday afternoon. Mr. Cole called him into the office. The company was launching a new project. High-profile, risky, the kind that could make or break a career. Cole looked Adrian in the eye. I want you to lead the team. But if you fail, there will be no second chances. Adrian's chest tightened. This was the opportunity he had dreamed of, but also the weight he feared. Leading meant more than discipline for himself. It meant guiding others. No excuses. No hiding. That night, he stood at his apartment window, rain sliding down the glass. The city lights blurred like uncertain stars. Leah sat quietly on the couch. You're afraid, she said softly. He nodded. What if I collapse again? What if I ruin everything? Leah rose and placed her hand on his shoulder. Control doesn't mean you never fall. It means you rise faster than you fall. Her words lit a fire in his chest. The next morning, Adrian walked into the office with a new resolve. He gathered his team, outlined a plan, and broke the massive project into tiny steps. Each member clear, each goal achievable. Every evening, they reviewed progress. Little by little, the impossible mountain began to shrink. But temptation still stalked him. Old voices whispered when he was tired. Skip tonight's work. Take it easy. This time, Adrian had a weapon. He repeated Leah's words like a shield. Rise faster than you fall. As the deadline drew near, doubt still scratched at him. But instead of drowning in panic, Adrian moved one stroke at a time, swimming to the weight of responsibility. He had reached the crossroads. Comfort behind him, discipline ahead, and for the first time, he chose a harder path without hesitation. Sparkle's learning focused the phrase comfort behind him. Discipline ahead paints a vivid image of choice. Leah's wisdom. Control doesn't mean you never fall. It means you rise faster than you fall. Is both encouragement and a life lesson. Grammatically, past simple verbs like he gathered, he outlined. He chose show clear actions, while past continuous and doubt scratched at him, and temptation still stalk him, highlights the struggles in motion. Idioms include make or break a career, determine success or failure, and a weapon against temptation, a mental tool to resist weakness. Light bulb practice questions. 1. What opportunity did Mr. Cole give Adrian? 2. How did Leah help him face his fear? 3. What strategy did Adrian use to manage the big project? Try retelling the moment when Adrian broke the project into small steps. Part 8. The Victory Within. The deadline rose like a morning sun, unavoidable, blazing, absolute. Adrian and his team stood in the conference room, their work displayed across glowing screens and thick binders. Executives filled the seats, their faces calm but unreadable. Adrian's heart pounded, but his voice was steady as he began to speak. Each slide, each sentence carried months of struggle. Early mornings, 5-minute victories. Nights when he chose work over escape. When the final word left his mouth, silence hung in the air. Then Mr. Cole nodded slowly to, impressive, well-structured, delivered on time. This is the discipline we expect from a leader. Applause followed, polite but firm. For Adrian, it was thunder in his soul. After the meeting, Leah hugged him tightly. You did it, she whispered. Adrian shook his head gently. No, we did it. And not just this project. I've done something greater. I've learned to master myself. That evening, he returned home. His apartment no longer looked like the cage and neglect it once had. The floor was clean, the fridge stocked, the desk organized. Yet the real transformation wasn't in the room. It was in him. He remembered the crack in the mirror from months ago when he had whispered, "When did I lose myself?" Now, as he looked again, he saw a new reflection. Not perfect, not flawless, but steady, awake, alive. Adrian finally understood the lesson. Control is not about never stumbling, never failing, never feeling weak. Control is about choosing. Choosing discipline over delay, action over excuses, courage over fear. It is about rising again and again. He whispered into quiet room, "I am no longer my own enemy. I am my own strength." And with that, Adrian knew his life would not collapse again. Not because the world had changed, but because he had changed. The victory was not outside, the victory was within. Sparkle's learning focused the metaphor of the crack in the mirror, ties the beginning to the end, symbolizing how brokenness can be healed. The phrase "thunder in his soul" describes how applause felt inside him. The idiom "I am my own strength" transforms the earlier weakness. I am my own worst enemy into triumph. Another strong truth is the victory was within, reminding us that the greatest battles are fought inside ourselves. Grammatically, notice how the past perfect connects the old self to the new. He had whispered months ago, but now the reflection is different. The past simple shows decisive actions. He presented, he returned, he whispered. Light bulb reflection questions. 1. How did Adrian finally prove that he had changed? 2. What did the mirror symbolize at the end of the story? 3. What does Adrian's journey teach us about real self-control? Now, try retelling Adrian's final whisper, "I am my own strength," in your own words. Glowing star dear learner, thank you for following Adrian's full 8-part journey. If this story inspired you, remember to like, comment, and subscribe so more people can grow with us. In the comments, tell me, what is one small step you will take today to gain better control of your mind? Summary, the victory within. Adrian looked successful on the outside, but inside he was falling apart. His apartment was messy, his job in danger, and his girlfriend Leah was losing hope. The truth hit him one night. I am my own worst enemy. At first, he tried to change in big bursts. He woke early, cleaned his home, and worked harder. But soon he relapsed, falling into laziness and excuses. He felt like a failure. Yet he remembered his father's advice. Control yourself before the world controls you. Adrian realized that real change could not come from force alone. It needed rhythm. His father taught him the power of small wins. Do at least 5 minutes of important work every day. At first, 5 minutes felt like torture, but often it turned into an hour. Slowly, Adrian built strength, brick by brick. He still stumbled. One night, he gave in to old temptations at the bar. But instead of quitting, he rose again. He learned, falling is not failure. Failure is refusing to rise. The final test came when his boss asked him to lead a massive project. Adrian feared he might collapse, but Leah reminded him, control doesn't mean you never fall. It means you rise faster than you fall. Adrian broke the huge task into small steps, guiding his team with discipline. When the project was completed on time, his boss praised him, Leah hugged him, and Adrian whispered a new truth into mirror. I am no longer my own enemy. I am my own strength. The real victory wasn't outside. It was within. Sparkle's language focus. I am my own worst enemy, recognizing self-sabotage. Small wins repeated daily become unshakable power. Discipline is rhythm, not force. Falling is not failure. Failure is refusing to rise. Resilience. I am my own strength. Transformation of identity. Reflection for you. Which moment in Adrian's journey spoke to you the most? Do you ever feel like your own worst enemy? What small win can you practice today to build strength in your mind?